Awesome. It's now working. Confirm the channel. I usually have multiple channels. Awesome. Good. It's on the right channel. So the streaming link, let me just share with you. I think we'll also share. Maybe William can. William is here. He's going to be helping me. He's your group moderator, and coincidentally, my former cloud student. He graduated. He has done several things. I've seen his growth in the cloud, which is awesome. Okay, so welcome once again to another, let me not say another, it's the first one, but I've done several lives, but as you can see, this is the first session of 2023, my first cloud session, which is good. It's an introductory cloud computing session regarding the TeknoAfrica Tech Hub cloud group. And basically what this session is all about is just to get to make the attendees familiar, and anyone who's going to be watching this later familiar about the offerings and how the cloud really works, and the different offerings that you can get in terms of instructor-led. I know there's a lot of resources out there with regards to learning cloud computing, especially at the foundational level. But what I've come to realize as I've gone on and I've started out on this cloud journey, specifically I'm more biased to AWS, but I'm trying to get into multi-cloud, is that you should be able to have that holding hand, even if you are going through maybe a free session, get to have a mentor, get to have somebody who has been there, because at the end of it all, there's a very big difference between learning the basics as well as doing the real stuff in the real world, getting a client onto the cloud and making them satisfied in the cloud. I'm so proud that I can say I currently have over like 20 people who have onboarded onto the cloud. They haven't ever maybe complained ever before and says, okay, you took me to this most expensive thing. I always tell people, this is gone are the days when you actually buy shared hosting and put your website there. Go into the cloud, have more power over, have more control over your applications, your resources. If you want, you can scale. You're going to see all those concepts that come with cloud computing. So for those who are maybe not familiar with who I am, my name is Gavin Tui. I'm a cloud educator, as well as a lecturer in a public university in Kenya, teaching computer science. And what else can I say? I'm a community builder. I'm in the AWS community builder. I'm an Atlassian community leader, an ISACA special program secretary, where we do campus outreach, and many other things. Maybe I might have forgotten. I also am the chief communications and operations lead here at TeknoAfrica Tech Hub, as well as many other roles that I have. But the one that I'm actually wearing today is as a cloud educator, and as well as the instructional lead for the cloud computing group within TeknoAfrica. So don't worry if as much as this is an introduction session or an introductory session, you might see me go biased towards maybe one provider, because that is where I'm more familiar with. But as always, this is something that you can be able to gain from one provider that is not in the other provider, or you can leverage that so that you don't have what we call vendor locking. But all in all, I hope you're going to really understand. For those who are saying they have no knowledge, trust me, I really hope by the end of the session, you're going to realize that you really did have some knowledge. It's just that you didn't have the technical understanding, but we use cloud each and every day in one or another. Okay, so I launched a poll for those who just joined us. I launched a poll on, I don't know if I can see, okay, my polls became inactive. But maybe I'll ask the question on the chat. I'll prefer using the chat. So I'd like to know, I think there's what? There's another question I wanted to know. How many of you? You can say, maybe you can do this. Say, okay, if you have a Google account, if you usually use maybe Google Drive, Google Workspace, maybe you have an Android device, maybe you usually use that maybe for your Google backup or Google Photos or something of that sort. You can just say okay on the chat so that I can be able to paint a picture on what I want to see next. I can see Juma, thank you. For those who can still, I know the only person who can't hear me currently is Karen. So maybe let's participate actively. This is an interactive session. I'll do less of the slides, although I have them, and I'll be sharing so that you can be able to have an understanding of what we really do. Because if it was me to share the slides and talk about them, you can get a recorded video of that. But I would like us to make it as interactive. And even if you're going to be watching this later, you can still ping me and see how I can be able to make it as interactive as possible. Thank you, Maxwell, Ramadan. So we usually use these. And if you didn't know, the moment you sign up for a Google account, you have already gotten into cloud computing. You're using the cloud computing offering of software as a service. So you're using storage. For example, your Google account, your Gmail comes with around, I think, 15 GB of free storage. When you're using something like Google Sheets, and maybe you're using Google Docs, or maybe you're collaborating online, same case, you're getting that. Even this Zoom platform, it is leveraging the power of cloud computing. If I don't know if you usually show these. Let me see where they usually open. For example, you usually see that green icon at the corner with a shield. It is telling, usually when you click on it, it's currently telling me you're connected to the Zoom global network via data centers in Germany. So what does that really tell you? This is the concept of data centers. And what does data centers tell you? So, and when you go to settings, it's a very interesting kind of thing when you click on Zoom. Is that gear icon on the corner. If I open it, under my statistics, I'm seeing my connection type is cloud. So what does that really tell me? It's telling me that I'm not using like a on-premise setup where maybe I'm talking to people in another building or in another place. I'm leveraging the cloud. So let me change my position. Seeing there's some light from the back, which is making me look darker than usual. So let me do this. Okay, it's not usual. I'm usually not that dark. I think that looks better. Okay, let me get my phone so that I can monitor something. Okay. So yeah, so I think that is fine. I hope I look as good as the camera is showing. Anyways, so I'm a dark mode. I love dark mode on the screen, but I don't like looking dark. That's the thing. Juma, thank you. Yes, so as I was telling you, we usually, if you never knew, never say you have zero knowledge of the cloud, because the moment you're using, let's say, AS, software as a service, there's also other offerings. We have infrastructure as a service, as well as platform as a service. And you're going to see that in practical sense. Trust me, I'm more of a hands-on person. I think William can tell you that. I usually just prefer, if you want to do the theory, go do it at your own time. Go through which is very important, because the theory is the one that paints the picture before you start doing the hands-on. But you'll come to realize that I'm more of a hands-on person. I don't know whether all of us are like that, but I think you learn more, because at the end of it all, a client doesn't want to know the definition of cloud computing. A client wants you to solve his or her problem. The client really wants you to take his website to become faster, or his web application to be available globally, and people not to feel any kind of delay or lag or latency. They don't want to know what latency really is, or what the definition, or what is CloudFront or caching, or some. They don't want to know the concepts around what you're going to do. They just want to say, okay, I feel now it is faster. It is loading in less than a second. That is the thing. So you'll come to realize that in terms of how I prefer to do it is, when you're coming to the live sessions, we are interacting with hands-ons, trying to do these things. Can you host a static websites on the cloud? Can you be able to break down a single unit application into different components, what we usually call microservices, and deploy it on the cloud? Can you be able to understand and apply something like the well-architected framework? Can you be able to apply the cloud adoption framework? Can you really be able to take a scenario where something is maybe disaster recovery, something has happened? Can you be able to set up a disaster recovery plan on the cloud, so that even if something happens to, or maybe an attack or a hack has happened, business can be able to come back on as fast as possible? So those are some of the things that you see. Let me see whether I have my slides downloaded. Let me see. Let me go to downloads, because I'm not even saying it here. So before I start on, I'll maybe invite William, your cloud group moderator, to maybe come off mute video and say hi to you guys as I get my slides up. Welcome, William, if you can.
Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Maybe others can confirm.
Okay, welcome to this session. New members here, welcome to this platform where we will grow as a community. I'm sure that together, as we hold each other's hand, together as we participate as one, we will go far. And also here, also to the new members, here we are more of practical work. Be ready for practical work. Also, theory part, you as a student, you are the only one who we shall guide you through the theory part. You are the one who will be in charge. The cloud instructor is the one who will be assisting you in practical work. Maybe somewhere you are stuck. Yeah. Once again, welcome to this session. Toy has been my instructor over the past 1.5 years or so. And right now I'm at the associate level in AWS. And so far, so good. Yeah. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I was saying what I was saying. I thought I was off mute. I was saying, I wish it was a physical session. I would have actually been saying, can you clap for William on what is just said? Then I realized, oh, damn, you're online. I can say that. Anyway, I was just deleting some slides. Trust me, cloud is going to, I think I'm going to do a practical session one, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I think William can tell you. He has been there and he has seen many resources on cloud, but the ones that usually gets from me cannot get just out there. So okay, this one has a lot of theory and I want to avoid that. Damn. Oh, okay, let me see whether I have my AWS Academy slides. I thought I would get one, or I asked ChatGPT to tell me something. Okay, I think this one would suffice. You'll allow me to use the AWS. I tried to look for a vendor neutral one, but yeah. Anyways, let me start by sharing my screen. Let me start by sharing my screen. I was trying to look for a vendor neutral kind of a slide, but it was too complex. Okay, I'll share my screen. But if you see something, okay, let me be safe and only share the slide because I'm live on YouTube and I don't want to pull it down and start editing it. So yeah, okay. Where was I? Okay. Let me see. Have I opened? Okay, let me see the tabs that I'd opened. Okay. Sure. It's not that bad. The other tabs that have the other PDFs. So okay, so what we have there's AWS, we have Google Cloud Platform, we have Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, we have Microsoft Azure, we also have Alibaba Cloud, we have IBM Cloud, we have Linode, we have DigitalOcean, we have all these different providers. But trust me, the concepts are the basic fundamental concepts. Once you understand them, you can apply them across. It's just that you have to know that, okay, this is a compute service in Azure, it's called this. In AWS, it's called this. In DigitalOcean, it's called maybe, in DigitalOcean, we call compute maybe droplets. In Azure, they're called, I think, Azure instances. And then I think in AWS, we call them EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. But still, the offerings and the concepts around them are the same. So when you come at this, so this one is part of what we call the AWS Academy, which I usually run. So we have different versions. Currently, it's as version 2. And something I can tell you about the course offerings. They're usually updated as you already know, if you are maybe pursuing a certain certification, sometimes there's a change. Maybe there's a new version. For example, I think in August last year, the Solutions Architect Associate exam for AWS changed from, I think, version 2 to C0, from, I think, 02 to 03. I'm hearing, I think in February, the Developer Associate is also changing in terms of version. So, and the reason for this is because a cloud provider as big as AWS introduces new services, even removes certain services maybe that maybe are overtaken by other services. So also same case, these certification exams need to reflect that. So, and I forgot to say that I'm proud of William. He already done one certification, I think 1 or 2, I think 2. He has already completed the cloud architecting within AWS Academy. He has also done his certification on cloud practitioner. I have like 3 or 4, 5 other people who have already, since they did my class, they have already done their certification exam. So what does that really tell you? Is that, and trust me, I never take them through theory. I just take them through the hands-on. Tells you that even though the exam, as you go on in the certification exam, usually given a scenario, then I told what is the best, how will you best solve this scenario? 2 or 3 answers may look correct, but you have to get the most optimal solution. For example, if somebody wants to go to the cloud, there's the easiest way, but sometimes the easiest way is the most expensive way for that client. So you don't want to take somebody to the cloud. Maybe on premise they are spending maybe $30 per month in terms of paying for electricity and the resources that they were using. Then suddenly they are now paying they have to pay $200 per month, they'll actually feel that you should change them. So what does that really tell you? You have to think about cost optimization as you move on. So as you can see, this since I've seen and several of us have seen you're at the foundational or maybe having no knowledge, I just take you through what this course is. And for AWS, this is the course that you're going to be going through. It's called the Cloud Foundations, usually called ACF, and it's usually aligned to the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam, usually known as CCP. So as you can see, it's just this is usually one of the easiest courses to start. Okay, let me not say easy because easy is relative. But it's a good way to start. And this is a course that is done by anyone. You don't have to be in the tech space. You can do it even if you are a business analyst, you're a mechanical engineer, you're a doctor. So because all these different fields or industries take advantage of the cloud in one way or another. You already know that during the pandemic, there's a lot of telehealth, a lot of maybe people who are actually maybe, let's say, sick and they can't go to the hospital because of the lockdowns, and telehealth came into play. So allow me to just pick this call in a few. Sorry about that. Sometimes this is the thing about working in tech. There's no free time. You have to, it's like being a doctor. Anyways, let me get onto it. So as I've already told you, it is independent of any specific technical role. That is what you need to know. And it gives you an overall understanding of what cloud is all about, which is very good, because this is where I started and made me appreciate the cloud a lot. And you're going to understand not only about the cloud concepts, but also some of the core services within AWS, other concepts of security, architecture, pricing, as well as support. So there are many, you're going to see so many 3-letter word acronyms, but don't worry, let them not make you feel, what can I say? Let them not make you feel intimidated about them, because at the end of it all, you're going to understand what every one of them stands for. So you'll allow me not to go through them in this format, but you realize that, okay, this is the duration of the course. So most of the time, how I run the cohorts, I run them in like 5-week sprints. I call them sprints because you have to go with my speed. If I tell you that you have to finish this in 5 weeks, please do it, because you can see what AWS recommends. At least 2 weeks. But 2 weeks, I usually felt that it's too short, maybe especially for someone who is starting out. So you'll realize that since I've done it like for 4 or 5 cohorts, you realize that 5 weeks is more than enough. And there's a way I can monitor whether you're actually doing it. As you can already see, this is an introductory level 100 course, usually level 200, 300. That is the introduction. And as you can see, part of us, we are an academy member institution, and just getting to know some general IT knowledge. Even if you don't know much about networks, you're going to get to know about it, and even some business knowledge, because there's a cost associated with with being on the cloud. So that is something that you need to remember. I don't know why my slides are jumping around. I don't know whether it's appearing like that for you. Yeah, the delivery methods. So we are going to do it live, and what I'm going to do basically is you're going to be you once you enroll, you're going to have access to all the course content, and then you're going to be looking at through the theoretical part during the week, and then maybe twice a week you're going to be doing the practicals. So kindly take note. I'm going to do one practical session so that you get a feel of how it looks like. And once you get access, you're going to be doing even a follow along, or you can even do it much, you can do it earlier than me. Then when you come in, you tell me I got stuck at this. I got stuck at this point. So some of these are very prerequisites for me, but I have them all, no worries. So we're going to be using, it's going to be fully virtual. So these are some of the things, for example, lecture, whether it has a demonstration or an activity. We're going to have also knowledge checks. So it is broken down. So I'll not use this. I'll show you through another slide. I'll not use this PDF, but this one is just something else. Let me see whether I can open something here under my documents so that I can be able to see it. I don't know how, any questions so far? Any questions so far? If you have any question, you can just maybe go off mute. Once I start sharing, I usually find it difficult to look for the chat section. So if you have any questions, you can still ask. I usually I don't like feeling like I've spoken too much. Any questions so far? Also, maybe William can check for me if there's any in the chat. I'll be ready and willing to answer them.
Not yet.
Okay, sure.
Maybe we can have it. We can have them at the end of the session.
Oh, sure, that's fine. Yeah. Totally fine. I'm trying to look for my PowerPoint. Yeah, I can see I've found it. It was disappearing somewhere. Okay, let me stop my share again, and then I share my screen again. I think I'll have to risk it and share my whole screen. And then I'll do my slideshow. Good. So yeah, so what? So this is basically an onboarding session. So since it's a free session, I'll make you feel like you've already enrolled. So don't worry if I tell you if you are going to do these, you're going to over the next 3 or so weeks, you're going to do these, because personally, I actually believe that since you've already taken time off out of your morning and getting out of bed, maybe early, or maybe some of you are even yet to sleep. I think I was hearing in Eastern, it's going to be midnight, and Wycliffe was telling me I need to change the timing so that I can cater for those on the other side of the globe. But I told him that we'll do that as part of the course enrollment. Okay, so welcome again, and congratulations for taking time to do this. And what I can tell you about the reason why I'm more biased to AWS first is that it obviously, as you can think of it, it's that AWS is the leader in terms of cloud computing. All the others are followers. They actually came into play, and they follow up on the history of maybe AWS, Azure, and GCP, which are the three main cloud. They usually say the tier one cloud providers. You'll come to realize that the most diverse set of services offerings are usually there within AWS. And but still, if you're also going to need training on maybe Azure or GCP, that is quite possible. Currently, I'm doing a training on Azure just to get, as somebody who is teaching, you cannot be too biased. You have to understand all these clouds, so that if you're asked by a student that I was doing this for a client on Azure, you don't start fumbling. You at least have an idea, so that it's very important. So basically what we're going to be doing in this module overview, we're going to just look at some of the objectives of the course. You're going to look at some of the things with regards to the certification, which is very important. I currently have 2 certifications, but I'm trying to space out some so that I don't have to renew them, because for any certification on the industry, you have to maybe renew between 1 or 3 years. I think Azure certifications are renewable every year, and for AWS, they usually do it after every 3 years. So that means after every 3 years, you have to do what? You have to go back and recertify. So we're going to do an onboarding. Okay, this onboarding I'll not do because you'll have to have actually enrolled. So I would have onboarded you onto the platform, but I'll show you how the platform looks like. And then, so you should be able to know what the purpose of the foundation, which I already mentioned. It's going to give you some cloud knowledge, concepts, general knowledge, as well as the core services in AWS, as well as security, pricing, support, and all things infrastructure. Then you're going to look at the course structure, how it is usually spaced out over the 5 weeks, the modules that are there, the 10 modules, and then how does the AWS do the certification, and the most, can I say, comprehensive site with regards to everything AWS, called the AWS documentation website. So let's get on to it. As always, I just told you some general IT knowledge and some business knowledge. Some of the preferred knowledge is, if you are familiar with some cloud concepts, it will put you ahead of others, but don't worry. All of us, taking as if no one has ever heard about AWS cloud, or even cloud in general. Then if you have a working knowledge of distributed systems, also be good. I preferred familiarity with some general networking concepts, such as subnetting, such as CIDR notation. What's the other networking concepts that are usually there? Maybe routing, DNS, all these kind of networking concepts are going to be applicable even in the cloud. And then working knowledge of multi-tier architectures. Multi-tier architectures are basically where you are talking about maybe there's a database layer, there's a processing layer or a tier, and then there's maybe the front end, or maybe the application front end. So to be able to, if you have a working knowledge of that, it's also important. But even if you don't, you're going to see how they work out in the practical scenario. So all these are the course objectives. As I mentioned, it's better if I put it in this format. So you have 10 modules. So what we usually do with regards to the cohort is, if you're doing it over 5 or 6 weeks, we try to do 2 modules in a week. So what does that tell you is that you should move at that pace, and you can be able to understand a lot. The good thing is, on the platform itself, you have recorded video lectures from AWS Academy experts who run you through all these concepts. And also, if you are not a person who loves watching videos and loves reading material, usually every module has a PDF that puts all the slides there. For example, a version of this slide in PDF, together with the notes under it. You remember, like if you're using PowerPoint, usually the notes part. So usually available also on the platform once you're onboarded. So it tries to capture all different types of learners, those who love watching, those who just love reading. And same case for those who are more hands-on. There's also a guided lab and a demonstration within almost each and every module. Yes, so we have cloud concepts overview, which is obviously vendor neutral. We have cloud economics and billing, which is also vendor neutral. These apply across all the different clouds. Then this one is more of AWS. We have the global infrastructure overview. How does it look with regards to regions, availability zones, edge locations? All these, I'm going to see that. We have cloud security. And if you're going to see the whole structure, you can specialize in one area of the cloud. And somebody might be asking, if I learn cloud computing, what are the different roles that I can be? You can be a cloud architect. You can be a cloud or DevOps engineer. You can be a data center technician. You can be the one running and making sure things are happening within the data centers. You can be a cloud consultant. You can also be a cloud developer. So you're the one who maybe helps to develop items on the cloud or develop solutions on the cloud. So there are different varied kind of, you can even be the administrator, the cloud administrator. You're the one who administrates the services, the CSOPs, if I so to speak. There's also machine learning engineer within the cloud. You can be the ones who onboards or uploads the models into these high performance computing architectures within the cloud for training and modeling. I think right now I've been hearing that ChatGPT, people are not, sometimes they're unable to access it. I don't know whether people had already started being over reliant on ChatGPT, but that tells you that even any application that you've onboarded onto the cloud might be suffering from some limits from one another, and sometimes you need to expand it so that you can take advantage. Although usually say the cloud is limitless, it's not really the case, because each and every provider has its limits. So we're going to look at also networking and content delivery. How does that happen? And then, as I already mentioned, there are 4 or 5 main subsets of cloud, regardless of the cloud provider. We have compute, we have storage, we have databases, we have security, and then we also have networking. I'll repeat again. We have compute, we have storage, we have databases, we have security, and then we also have networking. So not in that order, but all those are different elements, main elements of the cloud that people understand. So most services are grouped. Either is it a compute service, is it a storage service, is it a database service, is it a networking service, or is it a security service? And some services are like overarching. For example, like there are some security services that, for example, like identity and access management, that are global. They are not confined into one subset like compute. So it means that they're part and parcel of each and every kind of other service. So that is that cloud architect. So I've already mentioned about these 5: security, networking, cloud, storage, databases. You have also the architecture, which is very important, because as you move on, as you get into the associate level or the intermediate level, you're going to focus more on even the architecture. How do you create resilient architecture, highly available, cost effective, and also secure architectures. So, and even fault tolerant. So automatic scaling and monitoring, very important, I'm going to see. So I've already mentioned this. I'll not delve deeper. So I've already said you're going to look at the introduction, the advantages, what is AWS, moving to the cloud, what is the cloud adoption framework. In module 2 under economics, what are the fundamentals of pricing in AWS? What do you mean when you talk about TCO, total cost of ownership? What about OPEX and CAPEX, operational expenses, capital expenses, AWS organizations, the billing and cost management service within AWS, and also the different tiers of technical support that can get there. Then you're going to talk about the global infrastructure, the services, what are the different services and which categories do they fall in. And then you're going to understand about the shared responsibility model. This is where, for example, when you're using a certain service, there's some part of security that is your responsibility as the customer, and there's a part of the service that it is the responsibility of AWS as the provider. So for example, if you are if you are if you're using a compute service like the EC2 instance, AWS is not responsible for updating the operating systems, patching the softwares that you install into the EC2 instances, but they are responsible for ensuring that the infrastructure on which that EC2 instance is run is properly maintained. If the disk drives are, the technology is past, they should be using now this kind of technology, it is now their responsibility. But when you get into another instance, maybe another instance of a service, for example, like the RDS within the relational database service within the database category, you realize that it is the work of AWS to patch the operating systems, to update this, if it is MySQL RDS, the MySQL version, and ensuring that everything is working. So it becomes their responsibility to ensure that everything is working, so that you're only focusing on the security of your data within that service. So you realize that this shared responsibility model, it usually shifts depending on the service. So you realize that you'll be wondering, why am I being told here I'm supposed to do this, and in this other part it is the work of AWS? Because you should understand how the shared responsibility model works. I already mentioned about identity and access management. It's a global service. It cuts across all the other services, because you should be able, for example, the moment you get into your home, if you don't have the key, the door is not going to open, whether it is really, really you. So it means that there is a way that you have to ensure that you can identify yourself. Maybe, for example, for the padlock, the only way it can identify you is through the key. So if it is maybe maybe in campus, or maybe at your workplace, you have a staff identification card or your student identification card. You produce it, says, okay, you are a student here, okay, I can allow you to pass. But even if you're a student at the gate and you're allowed, even you're not going to be allowed into maybe the back office of the finance office by just producing your student identification card. It means that student identification card does not allow you to get into the finance back office. So you'll come to realize that is how the identity and access management really helps with regards to how services, what they can or can't do. You're going to learn about things such as users, groups, policies, roles, and how you can be able to administrate all these. How do you secure your new AWS account, putting up multi-factor authentication, not using the root account for your day-to-day service work on AWS. I can tell you this from experience. My AWS account has ever been compromised. It was a very painful process to get it back and just get it to work and running again. So I learned the hard way that it is very important to secure your root account and not use it for your day-to-day basis. So what happened is I think as I was uploading a certain code on GitHub, I uploaded it together with my access key and security key, and I think somebody got wind of it, and they started initiating large instances and many big services through my account over just one single night. And it actually costed me around $300. That's around 30,000. So it was a very big process to just tell AWS that was not me. Kindly please don't charge me that. And these are now tell me what can I do to secure my account. And it took months and months of back and forth emails to sort it out. So you don't want that to happen to you. So that is why anytime this is one thing I usually advise: secure your accounts, secure your data, make sure you don't leak your access key and your access key and the security key. Maybe when you're posting your code on GitHub or any other platform like code sharing or repository, Bitbucket, or all that. Then also working to ensure compliance, very important. So networking, you're going to learn about the VPC, a logical container within the cloud, like your own space. Think of a VPC like your your house, your apartment. Within it, you have your sitting room where you put your entertainment and your seats. You have your bedroom. You have your, so think of VPC that as a container for all your resources within the Amazon cloud, and you cannot access all the other. There's like millions, I think around. There's so many VPCs on Amazon by different people. The way we have different houses, so many houses all over the world. Think of it like that. So it's like a logical container, and how you can be able to make your resources communicate within one another by together with one another. By default, when you create an account, AWS prepares a default VPC for you. Then you're going to understand about other services such as Route 53 for routing, and also CloudFront for caching, all these. Then compute, which is very interesting. This is the most interesting part of things because I love it a lot. Elastic Compute Cloud. And also we have serverless offerings such as Lambda, and also deployment offerings such as Elastic Beanstalk, and also containerization such as the ECS service and the Elastic Kubernetes service for orchestration. All these are there. You're going to get since it's a cloud fundamentals, you're not going to get into the details, but it's very important to know what service is for what. And for storage, as I already mentioned, is also a core category within the services. There's a difference between storage and database, and you're going to realize that. So you're going to learn about there's what we call object storage, for example, like the S3 simple storage service. We also have file storage, such as EFS. And also we have the ones that store archival storage, such as the Glacier, which was separated from the S3 service. And now it is a service by itself to retain some data, maybe for compliance over a long period of time in a cost optimized fashion, since you don't really need it, but it is costing you. So you're going to see that. And then the EBS, which is a storage that is usually connected with EC2 for like long terms, because it is not what I can say ephemeral, but you're going to know more about that as we move on. You also have databases. I already mentioned a bit of RDS. You also have a NoSQL service from Amazon called DynamoDB. You also have Redshift, then you have Aurora. So what you're going to see about all these, it's very important to know if you're having certain scenario, is it better to use RDS? Is it better to use DynamoDB, Redshift, or Aurora? So you're going to understand and see that in a scenario. So cloud architecture, the well-architected framework, very, very important, very, very important to understand. And because anything that you create any resource that you create in the cloud, even the architecture as you create the architecture of it, always think about the well-architected framework. Otherwise, you're going to run into trouble with your clients. Reliability and availability, the service, the trusted advisor service that helps to check whether you are really conforming to, whether your services are really conforming, that you've started out, that you've launched, are conforming to the AWS well-architected framework. Okay, so I think I've gone back. So finally, you're going to finish up on our auto-scaling and monitoring, which is very important. Most people just launch one EC2 instance, then they try to scale it vertically, which can make your costs go up so significantly over one year. I had a client who you are trying to reduce the costs that his AWS costs. It was very difficult because he had done so much over so many years on one instance that trying to maybe downsize it and putting it on auto scaling was quite difficult. So I actually told him you have to do this from the front end, launch a new architecture, then try to set things up again, which shows that if you don't do this in advance, because the guy is not a person who knew much about it, just wanted to go to the cloud and just started out on how best he knew. He found it quite challenging. But you yourself, you're on the right track, and you should be the one who is helping not only yourself, but even the organizations that are going to be starting or working for. Okay, again, now the interesting part. Sometimes certifications validate your skills, so it's very important to get certification. And this course, as you can see highlighted here, it is going to help you prepare for the Cloud Practitioner Certification exam. I'm going to open the link to where that exam details are. Usually, I think $100. Don't know if it's 90 minutes, but you can be sure that if you enroll for this course on AWS Academy, you already get a 50% discount the moment you complete it. So it means that if it is 100, you're going to only do it for $50. And you can be sure that once you pass this exam, the moment you get into the certified global community, you automatically get a 50%. If you pass it, that is, you already get a 50% discount over for your next exam. So what that means is you can, it's very important to do this, because you realize that the solutions architect, associate, and all these associate level exams are usually, I think, $150. So what does that really tell you? That you can complete this course, get a 50% discount. You do your certification with maybe $50, and then you getting to associate, you already got another 50% because of passing. You do this at 75, so you only do the 2 certifications exams at $125. So it means that only 125. So it means that you've already gotten 2 certifications. Yet, if you decided to do this and you don't have any discounts or anything, you are already starting at 150. You only have 1 certification, you don't have a discount, so it's $150, and you still haven't done the Cloud Practitioner, which if you did this, you already done 150 plus 50, that is 200. But I'm telling you can get it at 125, but that's a story about, you can decide on how you base. These are the 2. Okay, this one is basically for knowledge, fundamental knowledge. The industry itself, the cloud industry, doesn't really see you as a professional the moment you do the Cloud Practitioner. But the moment you start doing these associate level exams, you start being recognized. And I'll not talk about professional because I'm still prepping and psychologically preparing for this. But I'm also thinking about also doing some 2 or 3 specialty. So in terms of, somebody might be asking themselves, what is the what is the best path? What is the optimal path? Personally, I'll tell you what I've done, because most people, depending on the time they have, as well as their priorities, they have different. So the one path that the most common path is, you do your foundational cert first, then you go to what? Then you go to a 1 associate, the most important cert, because everything rides on architecture, because there's nothing that you can do in administration or developer if you don't understand the architecture. Is a solutions architect. So you can decide to go to architect, then to solutions architect associate, then you do maybe the other associate level, maybe like I can say horizontal movement before you get to any of the top. Maybe your where you work, they want you to get to professional very fast, so you can be able to get to this upward. That is where you can see this gray background. You can go from practitioner, associate, then you go to professional. And there are so many resources that can help you pass the cert. So, but I can assure you that passing a certification exam doesn't mean anything if you don't have the skills to back it up. So you can pass, you can be able to be drilled to pass the exam by doing practice exams, by checking what other people are saying, how they did it, and and post your badge on LinkedIn. But if you don't know how to run projects, how to set up resources, and to do these things in a real world scenario, you're not going to really easily get a job from just having the cert alone. So have a mix of both. I know people who are working without even any kind of certification, and also know people who have so many certifications, but they don't have the job. So have a balance of the two. Then again, you have people who they don't have the job and they don't have the certification, which is so we have it moves from foundational, associate, then professional, and then you can even do the specialty. But what AWS has done is there's no prerequisite. For example, if you feel you've been in the industry for so long, you've done a lot with cloud and AWS, you can let me do this a bit. Okay, sorry about that. Just confirming something. I think we only have we have 15 minutes, so I have to move a bit faster so that we get the questions. So as I've already mentioned, there's AWS doesn't have requirements. You can even start with professional, but be sure your chances of failing can be very high if you haven't done maybe these stats. Thankfully, I thank God, because of all the SATs that I've tried out, I've passed them first time. But failure doesn't mean anything. It means that there's another opportunity to do something. So even if you do one of the SATs and you don't pass first time, there's always an opportunity to retake. I think usually around 2 weeks after that, but you'll still have to repay for that other exam. So we have the CSOPs Administrator Associate, more of administrating in the cloud, Developer Associate for those into cloud developing. There's also courses within AWS Academy for all these. So once you're done with your foundational and you would like to get to these levels, we can also think about how we can do those courses. You also have now the DevOps Engineer, which combines operations and developing into what we call the DevOps engineer professional. You'll see many people on LinkedIn post this here. Okay, which cloud provider does not require a credit card during creation of an account? I'm not really sure, because even DigitalOcean that I usually use stopped just requiring PayPal. They now require someone to have their credit card. The reason for this is because when the costs go beyond, they have to know how will I charge this person. So they don't want you to get in, then you are trying out things and you're maybe abusing, and they don't know you're abusing resources and they don't know really who you are. So there are still other, they usually have these what we call these sandbox accounts, which usually get maybe when you register for a course, maybe same case if you enroll for AWS Academy. For those who are going to be coming in, I'm going to show you how you can get access to an account with some budget of I think $100 for you to test out things on AWS, but it has a lot of requirements and restrictions on what you can and cannot do, otherwise you're going to be banned. But yeah, that is something we can discuss more. So, but if I can tell you, the easiest way is to maybe for Azure, I think there's what we call the student account. I think usually gives you, I don't know if it's $200 worth of credits, as well as I think 12 months access of some free services. usually, I think I'm aware of that, but you don't just get that directly. There's a way I think you do it on Microsoft Learn. There's also, I think, I don't know, I'm not sure about GCP, but I'm sure of also Oracle, because I'm also getting into Oracle a bit, getting to understand more about database. They also have some offerings with regards to that, but most of them I think require some form of credit card. Most. I don't know which don't. But the good thing is with AWS, when you get charged the credit card, the $1 is reversed. They just use it to check whether that credit card works. And if I'll show you, for those who want to open your own accounts, I'll show you how you can save on cost and make sure you don't pay anything on AWS. You'll be sure that you put up budgets, you do that. So Juma is asking, what are the prerequisites for cloud training? So let me answer that when I'm done. Let me just finish up on this. I'm done with the certification. I've already mentioned about the exam. For those who are going to be coming through, maybe I'll share this details about the exam. I can copy this. I don't know if I can copy it. I can copy this onto the chat. So you can get to know more about this exam. As you can see, I already mentioned it's $100. Format is 65 MCMA questions, multiple choice or multiple response. Usually done these days only through Pearson VUE, not PSI was stopped. It's usually very interesting when you do an online exam proctored online. 90 minutes to complete, and the foundation is usually a very easy exam to pass, if I can say. You can download the exam guide as well as some of the exam questions after you have done. Just gauge yourself. I'll give you more tips and resources for those who are going to enroll and see how you're going to make this interesting. And let me just show you something as I also finish. Don't know if I finished up with my slides, so that I don't want to go back there. So these are the things. The documentation, very important. AWS documentation. There are different white papers you can get, also very important. And then there's a task to just do some scavenger, but this one is for those who have already enrolled, so I'll not get into the details of that. Yep. So I think that is that. So that is, we really understand the purpose of the course, how it is structured. I've taken time on the certification process, just to get you and to understand, which is very important. And then also you've been able to know how to navigate the documentation, which although I haven't done the documentation website, but I'll show you how it looks like. So AWS documentation website looks like this: docs.amazon.aws.amazon.com. I can share that. It's very, very comprehensive. So if you want to know anything about EC2, just click there and get to know everything. User guide for Linux instances, I can just get to there. You can even look for a PDF around it. Don't know if I can download the PDF around it. You can see, just get it there. And okay, mine personally decides I have an Adobe Acrobat extension, so it opens the document from there. Anyways, yeah. So that is. So let me show you something. Let me show you how you can access some things here. How the course usually get exclusive access to some access for a class. Let me just log in as the instructor, just to show you how it looks like. Just show you something here. So this is how the platform looks like, and I really wish I had time to take you through a practical. Maybe I'll do another session where I can show you the hands-on. Let it load. So this is how you get the PDF. This is how the PDF looks like. I can get this guidance and just download it and have it for my offline access. So So yeah, you have it personally for access. So let me just go back. Where was I? In this I was. Is this big zoom thing that is disturbing me at the top. So as I mentioned, this is what we call the learner lab for those who are asking about how they can access without paying. But you have to have already even paid for the course. So one or another, you're going to get access. So there's no place where they're going to give you free access to the cloud providers. Never happens. You should have actually enrolled to something unless they have sponsored you. So let me just show you one. Let me show you the learner lab for, here's the learner lab, my learner lab. I think, let me look for the learner lab for educators. Anyone who is seeing it? Here it is, learner lab educator. Okay, let me just show you how it looks like. So this one is specifically for us as the instructors. Let me go to modules. So the reason I'm choosing that one is because it shows how it looks like as a student. So this is the learner lab. If I open that, it also has a guide. It'll also show you how the course looks like on the platform. So usually provisioned by Vocarium. So you can do a lot of practical. So you can see can start the lab, although I don't want to do it right now. You can see I'm already given $100. I think I spent 0.1 of those when I was testing out something so that before I go to a client. So usually get that. And let me just show you now the course as we finish now, Cloud Foundations. So these are a course that I ran in the last cohort. So usually have this section. Let me go to modules. This is run on Canvas. So you can see all the 10 modules are here, module concepts. And as I already mentioned, I think to someone, I think I should have mentioned, there's someone who reached out to me on LinkedIn, they want to start on this course. I think I'll talk to him afterwards. So we have, for example, here you can see this one is more theoretical, the cloud concepts. The advantages, I haven't gone through this, but once you start out, you can. You have a knowledge check, cloud economics and billing. You have even a case study, console demonstration. We have demos usually come. We have the knowledge checks again after every module. The global infrastructure and the service categories, which is very important, as well as the knowledge check around it. Then I think in module 4 is where I usually have the lab. This lab, yes, there's one lab here, introduction to AWS IAM, which is very important for security. Networking, you also have another lab to build your VPC. So these are the ones that I usually focus on a lot. We also have another lab 3 here on EC2. We also have another lab on working with EBS. So let me just show you how a lab looks like. So you can see almost each and every module has a lab. You can see this is another lab in databases. In terms of cloud architecture, I think this is really no lab, but it's all about how to understand about architecture. Auto scaling must be having a lab. Yes. And you can see then you're done. And then let me just show you that first lab on IAM, how it looks like. Let me just show you a bit. I'm not going to open it, but I'm going to just show you how it has a step-by-step guide. And even right now, I think we are being told by AWS to, okay, I can't open it like that. If I open it like that, it's not going to work because I'm the instructor. So let me just open student view. Can you see student view for me? Here it is. Okay, my time is almost up. I usually honor people's time. If I say it's 8:30 to 10, it's 8:30 to 10. Where was I? I'm on student view. Now let me go to the lab, the first lab on cloud foundations. So you can see it's a foundational course, but it has a lot of practical hands-on. By the time you're ending it, even if you're getting a certification that maybe people can say, okay, we don't really recognize, but if you have the skills, to see. So let me just move the terminal away. So usually see, for example, this is how the lab looks like. It tells you what AWS IAM is, which is a web service that enables AWS customers to manage users and user permissions in AWS. So you can centrally manage users, security credentials such as access keys and permissions that control which AWS resources that users can access. Then it tells you this how what is going to demonstrate, and what about the policies, the users, the groups. Going to understand what you're going to do. You're going to experiment, you're going to follow a real world scenario on how to add users with specific capabilities enabled. And it tells you that this lab can take you approximately 40 minutes. So you'll just click on start the lab. For example, if I click start lab here, the moment it's going to open up a window for me. It's going to open up a window for me it's going to start launching the lab. Here it is. And then it's going to be in creation. Then in a few, like a minute, it's going to be ready. So you can always do that. Then you close, then you continue reading. So it is still in creation, but the moment I'll show you how you can access the console and see how you can be able to do the hands-on. Apart from I have a lot of resources. Like recently, I bought a certain book for what? For $50. I think it was $50. It's around 5,500. So when tell you we spend so that we know what we know, it's very important. So this is the book, although I can share it because it's something you buy. So here it is. It's okay, out of memory. Wow. So you can see it's called AWS Fundamentals by Tobias Schmid and Alessandro. It's a AWS for the real world, not just for certification. So it's a very nice book that takes you through what you can do in a real world scenario. For example, let me just jump onto maybe something like compute. What happened? You can see, you just open good reasons. It explains everything, and then you start out on a practical with screenshots, what you can do, how you can do this, and explaining what happens here. You're prompted. Usually comes with a default VPC. Very nice, and also comes with infographics. For example, this is an infographic. So when you enroll to my course, I'm not assuring that you can get the book for free, but I'll be using it to explain some of the concepts. So also comes with a lot of things, and you're free to buy it if you want to. You can buy it from the authors. Usually say it's very important to support those who create this knowledge. For example, you can see these are all the infographics. If I want to know about something about EC2, don't know that it's going to open, but I think it's going. Usually a lot of work that has been, okay, what is that? Okay, I'm not sure. It's because it's a lot of graphics, so it might not open. Is it going to draw finally? But I think I can open the picture version. I'm sure the picture version is not going to have issues. You can see it is, and it is high, I can say high resolution. How do you run? What are AMIs or the instance like site? Or what is to launch? What is to stop? What is to hibernate? What is to retire? About the AWS marketplace, monitoring, storages, instances type. All these are very good. You can think of it like in Kenya, we call it a Mokenya or a cheat sheet. So it can really help you in one instance. You can be able to do a lot. So I was just giving it time. I don't know why it's taking a bit of time. It's a small lab. So when you click the start lab, you click on AWS, you're taken to a real life scenario console. So you can see it's going to log me in. The moment I'm logged in, you can see now I'm already logged in into AWS, and I can just take my instructions to one side. I take the real lab onto the other side. I go to the first step. For example, you can see start lab. I've been told to do that. Explore in the AWS, select IAM. I click here and select IAM. The following three users have been created for you: user 1, user 2, user 3. Choose user 1. Go to the permissions, do these, notice step by step of what you can be able to do and get to understand what you're really doing. So if I go to users, I really hope I'm going to see the 3 users. Don't know, yeah, here it is. You can see user 1. So I choose that. I go to the summary and check the permissions. I think I can see here. Can see I'm being told I can do a number of things. Notice that does not have, choose the groups tab. User is also not a member of any groups. Under groups, doesn't have any permissions, doesn't have any groups. So you can go to the security credentials. They have been assigned a console password, and as you can see, I can be able to see all these things from this case, and I can see these are business scenarios. You have this and that and that, and that is what I usually do. I explain each and everything step by step. It might look like I'm rushing, but it's because of the time. But when you get, William can tell you that we usually do this properly step by step, and even doing a follow along, and then you can always ask questions on what you can do. So very hands-on, so that for the other time of the week, you focus on the theory perspectives and doing your knowledge checks. But when we come to the lab, to the class, we do these practicals. Again, just to ensure that I'm not too biased, I can, as I told you, I think I can open, I don't know whether I've opened the right tab. Can assure you, this is what I am telling you I was doing. So for Azure, Azure. You see Azure fundamentals, Microsoft Learn. So it's a very good place to also start out. They have this exam called AZ900, the Azure fundamentals. Here it is. So you can always do this, can check what the certification is all about. And as you can always attend a Microsoft Virtual Training Day fundamentals, and you can get a certification voucher. You can also study the relevant self-paced content. Here it is. So this is a good link. Let me just share with you the other link, this one. If you're interested in all things Azure, so that it is a very good unbiased intro session, you can check that. I think I shared on the group, so usually something on GCP certification. The certification blog usually has almost everything. So Google Cloud certification. So usually you have what you call, it has a different kind of things with regards to the certification. But the foundational, you can see, is called the foundational certification, the associate as well as the professional. Role is cloud digital leader. So you can see when you open these, so you can see what is covered in the exam. Also 90 minutes, or $99, 50 to 60. I think you can get to know more, prepare, schedule an exam. Also a very good place to start. So nobody will say I was too biased. Yeah, I'll try to do, but as obviously I'm more in AWS, but I know more about all these other clouds. So let's get to questions as we finish up. So let me stop my sharing. Okay, let me stop my lab so that I don't forget that I was opening a lab. So when you finish up with a lab and you feel you're done and you've done everything, there's even, I think at this associate level, even the system marks the lab for you and gives you marks. But for this foundational, it doesn't have that feature yet. So let me end the lab so that I don't waste resources. Then I can, it's terminating it, and I think I can log out here. And then I think I can close this. Yep. So William, I hope you posted this YouTube link to the group so that those who did not attend the session can also access it. I think I can stop my share now. They can answer your questions. Okay, let me see. There's a good question. Let me start with the first one. Juma was asking, what are the prerequisites for the cloud training? So the prerequisites, as always, is the enthusiasm, the diligence, the commitment, the consistency, the punctuality. All those are just my prerequisites. I don't want you to be a tech guru for you to be able to do the foundation. It's just a foundational. But obviously, if you want to do this associate, should have done the foundational. If you want to do the professional, better if you've already done the associate level also. So in terms of applications and software, the only thing that is required is internet connection and a browser. everything is happening on the cloud. You don't have to install anything. The moment I have your email, and you have been told maybe you've made maybe your first installment. I don't know how you're going to need to do it, but I believe there's a structure. For my case, I usually prefer that you make the payment and then you get it out of the way, so that you're only learning, so that I don't have to come to class and say that so and so who have not paid. I don't like that. Just finishing it up. I think for those who are in my previous other cohorts, usually used to do that. We had a till we sort things out, and I usually call them commitment fees. I don't call them course fees, because for you to be trained on the cloud, you can be assured, you can check out on how much it takes to be trained. It runs into tens of thousands of Kenya shillings, or maybe hundreds of dollars for just one person. So anything that is below $150, you can imagine if the exam is $100, can the training be any lesser than the exam? Obviously not. So for example, like some of you used to pay, I think you pay what for KCSE or what, I don't know. There's a payment like 3,000 or 5,000. It means that obviously for you to be trained to take the KCSE, it must have taken you more than 5,000 shillings. So that is the thing. But I know money is usually a hot topic, but it's very important to talk about it, even though. So no prerequisites in terms of softwares that you need to have installed. You don't even have to have already opened an AWS account for you to access the practicals. You don't have to. I think also Azure also has sandboxes within the Microsoft LAN, but I usually find Azure training to be quite hectic for me because I don't like reading a lot. I prefer hands-on. I prefer just being told this is where the labs are, do the labs, and this you can watch these videos for anything you need to cram for the exam if you need to cram. So Maxwell is asking, what is the total cost of everything till the first cert plus account registration for AWS? So as I've already mentioned, your account, for you to open your account, I'll guide you through that, but it doesn't cost you anything that side. So that is not within the TeknoAfrica jurisdiction. Again, you don't need to open an account for you to do the practicals within our AWS Academy platform. And in terms of the total cost, I think it was mentioned that, was it mentioned 300 to 450? But I can be sure, I can assure you, because I'll liaise with Wycliffe, I'll do like a 50% off discount for maybe the first 10 people. So once we do that, and I think the rest can come whether they want it or not, but the first like 10 people who get into the training, 50%, I think that will get you down to at around, I think, $150, which is around, if to be precise, it's going to be around 15,000 shillings. So what does that tell you? You're going to be learning at the rate of, and the good thing is once after the 6 weeks, it doesn't mean you lose access to the content. After you finish and complete, even you just finish, make sure you finish all the requirements for you to get the badge that you can share on LinkedIn, and maybe also your course completion certificate, as well as your 50% discount for the certification exam. You can now continue maybe reinforcing what you've learned slowly. If you are maybe you prefer, or even sometimes usually say the labs you have to do them 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So you still get access almost, I think I can even say almost indefinitely, but not indefinitely, because after you've done cloud foundations, you have to be hungry and get to the next level and the next level and the next level. So once you obviously have access to the higher level, there's no way you really need these others. So mostly usually around 6 months of access or thereafter. But anyone who doesn't complete, especially if it's a free cohort, if I have done a free cohort, I usually remove them from the platform. And again, if you decide to pay in installments and then you maybe don't finish your installments, you obviously also then again lose access to the platform. And yeah, so, but since you have already paid and and it's your, I usually don't do it Safaricom where you buy a bundle and then it is your money and it still expires and they remove it from you, is there'll be more leniency with regards to that. But I would actually prefer that we finish it up in 5 or to a maximum of 6 weeks, in terms of the training, in terms of the learning, because you cannot learn about cloud practitioner or cloud fundamentals for 1 year. It doesn't really make sense. You do these, technology is moving fast, move to the next thing, move to the next thing. Currently, I'm getting into what we call Terraform and infrastructure as code. And yeah, I want to learn more. I want to get more knowledge so that not just for me, because the good thing is, the one thing that gives me motivation is that I don't learn for me. I also learn so that I can share the knowledge. And some maybe learn also to get into the industry and provide solutions to customers, which is also good, because even one time when I'm consulted on how to set up something, I'm also capable of doing that. I don't want to be that traditional lecturer in campus who doesn't know what is going on and is teaching what was being taught decades ago, like generations and all that. So yeah, so I think, is there any question? If I think so total cost, as already mentioned, I can assure you, because I'm the one taking the course, you're going to look at that 50% off, then you can pay it maybe in 3 installments, or maybe you can decide to, if it is in 3 installments, it's going to be a bit more expensive. For example, if it's 3 installments of I've said 150. So 150 divided by 3, that's 50. So if you're doing $50, $50, you're going to be the same as person who has paid 150 sharp. So it means that yours may be around, maybe you pay 50, 52 or 53, 53, 53. So it means that for that leniency, there's a cost for that leniency. So maybe by the end, you're going to have paid 160, but that person who has already paid at once, they get a savings over the person who is paying in installments. But that is going to be clear after we do that deliberation. But I hope that is a giveaway, if I can tell you. If I already told you I bought a book at $60, and that is just a book, somebody has prepared it, they tell you just get it, just go learn whatever you want to learn about it. It means that you have to know how to invest in these, invest in your knowledge. And the good thing is you'll have the authority to ask questions, and it will be up to me. Even if I don't know the answer, I have to go back and research on your behalf and come back and give you an answer if I don't know. So that is the good thing about instructional training that is synchronous. There's a good thing about videos that have been recorded, but the thing is that you cannot ask that person, I really didn't get that part. Can you rewind and come back again on that? You can do that. The other thing about text and books, they're also on another lower level than even videos. So, but sometimes they're helpful because they can help you, especially if they are step-by-step instructions. They can really help you in understanding. So I think that said, can we call it a session? Unless there's a person who wants to come off mute and ask a question. Anyone? Maybe you can tell me how was this session. Yes, somebody want to say something? Cliff? I know you've come in a bit late, but you're going to get the recording. I mean the YouTube link. Thanks, Juma. I hope it was as informational. I tried to pack a lot of information into one session. I don't like doing that. The good thing is when you start on the practical, you're just dealing with one thing or two things or two concepts. It makes it very easy for us. But today, being an introduction session, I had to try to ensure that I give you as much information as you need. Yes. Yeah, and I'll also be giving you tips and tricks on what you can do, and so that, because I always don't like somebody who has done my class and I don't see them prospering in this space. So yeah, So I think if there's nothing else, William, do you want to say something before we close? Then anyone else?
The session was nice today. I think you covered everything. You covered everything into a single perspective. Yeah. And also maybe somebody might be wondering, can I be able to handle the three cloud providers, maybe AWS, Azure, GCP? Or let's say if somebody can just start with one, complete with that same cloud provider. Yeah.
That is a good query, and I would advise you. It's very clear. Start on one, then you can apply that knowledge easily on the other ones. Because if you try to learn a bit of this and a bit of that, you're going to get confused. So get onto the end-to-end of one, because the foundational level, it is too wide. It has more width, but very little specialization. So what does that really tell you is that it's just to help you understand what this person or this provider has to offer. So, and at the end of it all, people don't want people who just know a bit of everything. They want somebody who knows a lot about one thing. So, as you get on, as I would advise, start on one cloud and get on to the next. And you'll realize that what all these major providers are doing, they are trying to make everyone try to do their fundamental certifications. They are having so many offerings for ways you can train and get your fundamental cert, but very few opportunities on associate levels, professional levels, and even specialty levels. Why do they do that? Because they know that where the opportunities lies in the specializations. And sometimes people just learn these things, then they just put it in their pocket and say, at least I have an Azure cert, I have an AWS certification, or I have a GCP certification, I can be called this. But the title means nothing if you can't do anything about it. So as I would advise, follow the path. This is a tried and tested path. I've done 2 certifications. I've done the cloud practitioner, I've done the solutions architect associate. I'm just contemplating whether do I continue on the associates or do I go to the professional. But I also don't want to do the professional too soon, because it will mean that I'll have to renew my certifications, so many of them at nearly the same time. So I want to maybe do it maybe at the end of the year or something of that sort. And I also want to make sure that for the certification that I've gained, for every certification that you gain, try to do things that will not only give you income from that certification, but it will also give you hands-on learning or real-world learning to validate that. So don't do a certification, then you put it in their pocket. This is not like national examinations that help you to go to the next level, because at the end of it all, it's all about the skills. When you get an interview, they'll not ask you, are you 10 times AWS certified? No, they'll ask you, what have you done? Who are you able, in this scenario, what would you do? If somebody is saying that they are not able to scale horizontally their database, or maybe they want to create fault tolerance in their implementation, how will you be able to do that? What about multi availability zone replication? Are you able to explain all these concepts and see how can you even, apart from explaining, can you say that you're able to do this in a scenario? Try to look for internships in these cloud roles. Try to get onto Upwork or these remote working platforms and start looking for cloud jobs. But don't do that if you don't have the knowledge. It's not going to really work. You're not going to get even one gig, if I can call it a gig. Yeah, so that pretty much takes us to the end. We are 22 minutes past. I'm sorry for those who have taken a bit of their time. So I think for those who are going to also watch on in YouTube, I'll share on the description the link to the community, to the TeknoAfrica Tech Hub community. Then you can join and ask more questions there. Thank you, Maxwell, for the interaction. Also, Juma, you're very, very interactive. I really appreciate that. And I really hope all of you are going to take up and take advantage. I can assure you that I'm going to push for that discount. That's going to be the discount exclusive to the first 10. So take advantage. Don't allow people who didn't come to the session to take advantage of that more than you. And then once we do that, I think since it's 21st, maybe you can start on the first week of February. For those who are going to have already enrolled, we do the cloud foundation foundational. I'm also going to be doing an associate level training. I'm still waiting, and I'm trying to see how I'll advertise it so that I'll do the associate level. I have a number of students who I took through the foundational over last year, I think 3 or 4 cohorts, and I'm sure they are wondering how they can go to the next level, and I'll be doing that. So also, if you're interested on the associate level kind of training, please make sure you contact me. I think that is pretty much it. Unless there's anything from anyone else, I think we'll see whether we need another session for anyone maybe who were on the other side of the globe and the timing was not appropriate for them. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. And I look forward. And oh, okay, there's 2 days left to the end of the AWS Community Builder applications. So just Google AWS Community Builder. And if you have been doing something on the cloud, helping people know about it, creating content, if you're a blogger or something, and you can apply to this program. It's a very good program. You get many good resources. I applied last year, became a community builder just because of this work that I'm doing, training people. I didn't even know that that is the one thing that is going to help me, but that is the one thing that made me join the program. So let me just give you the link. Yeah, Pierre, William, please, all these links that I'm sharing, I really hope you're going to, that is why you're the moderator, you're going to make sure that they're also there. They are on the WhatsApp group. You can click on the 3 dots at the bottom of your chat and save chat, then you're going to share. That's it, pretty much it for me, and have a lovely one. Okay, have a lovely weekend. And yeah, see me when I see you.